Chief guest of this convocation function, Ambassador Hardeep Puri, Vice Chancellor of the University, Dr. Leena Srivastav, Registrar, Dr. Rajiv Seth, guests of honor who are going to be receiving degrees on honoris causa today, Mr. Ambu Jain, who is representing Mr. Anshu Jain, co-CEO of Deutsche Bank, Professor Yuan Se Lee, Nobel laureate, Mr. Hemendra Kothari, Ms. Shabana Azmi, Excellencies, former President of Finland, Madame Tarja Halonen, parents, members of families of the graduates and students over here, my young friends, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great privilege for us to be part of this occasion today. And I'm particularly grateful to our chief guest, Ambassador Hardeep Puri, a person who has not only been a remarkable diplomat all his life, but a person who has always stood rock solid on issues that he had a conviction about. And he has many convictions, I can tell you, from having known him over the years. And on this note, may I say that those who are graduating today will certainly carry a lot of specialized skills in the areas that you've studied. But the one area where I would beseech you and urge you to pay special attention is the whole issue of ethics. We are a society which is rich in culture and tradition, and I think learning remains totally incomplete unless whatever specialized skills we learn and acquire are not supported on the foundations of ethics and tradition. And in this regard, let me say that our ethics and tradition have always honored knowledge and those sources from where knowledge can be acquired. If you go back in time, we had universities like Nalanda. In fact, I didn't know enough about Nalanda myself, except that some years ago, a good friend of mine, who was then the dean of the School of Management at Yale University, happened to have been in a meeting, I believe, in Singapore, where Mr. Monte Kaluwalia and Professor Amartya Sen were together with him. And they talked about this ancient university, Nalanda. And he says, "What's Nalanda?" And they told him about it. He says, "All right, I'll have to research on it." So he had 3 of his PhD students dig up whatever information was available on Nalanda. And he wrote a fascinating article which I believe appeared on the front page of the New York Times. And he called it, the title of his article was "A Real Old School." I won't go into the details of what he wrote and the richness of his description of that university. But I only want to emphasize that as a society, if we are going to deal with the challenges of the future, and if we are going to meet them head on, then while of course we need specialized expertise, we need science, technology, economics, and all the social science disciplines to be able to deal with the complex challenges ahead, all of that will be deficient if we are not able to muster the strength that comes from history, culture, and tradition. So this is something that I hope all of you will keep in mind. And also do remember that in this century, what is really going to make a difference and what's really going to help us in solving the complex problems we face is the power of knowledge. And that knowledge, may I emphasize again, has to be comprehensive. It has to include those dimensions of human character and personality which are rooted in culture, tradition, ethics, and values. Then only would we be able to succeed the daunting challenges that lie ahead. In this regard, let me say that wherever you go, and I'm sure wherever you go, you will succeed in a worldly as well as in a personal sense. Do remember that we are dealing with society which has a large number of ills that only the quality of the education that you have received will be able to help you deal with. And one of them clearly is the problem of equity. We are living in a world where disparities are growing. The rich are undoubtedly getting richer, but the poor, unfortunately, are remaining where they are by and large, and some are actually slipping deeper into poverty. And this is where I'd like to invoke the advice of Mahatma Gandhi when he used to emphasize repeatedly the importance of Antodaya, which really meant that you have to be concerned about the last, that means the one who is on the margins of society. Because unless your actions, your decisions, and your dedication are able to deal with the problems faced by the poorest of the poor, we are leaving something that is unaddressed. So that's something that you must keep in mind in spirit and substance. And here may I say that while most of you will be getting jobs in urban areas, in big organizations, some multinational and some large government organizations, whatever, do remember that in this society where 2/3 of the people live in rural areas, whatever we do must also have a direct linkage with the welfare of people living in our villages. Because you cannot possibly have a society where urban locations advance rapidly and we leave behind the teeming millions, hundreds of millions who are living in rural areas. So whatever we do and wherever we are located, do remember that our actions should be able to provide benefits to the most underprivileged and even those who may be above the level of the most underprivileged but living in rural areas where clearly they don't have the infrastructure, they don't have the means, they don't have the connectivity, and often they don't even have the skills by which they can bring about advancement of their own fortunes and fates. And in this regard, let me end by saying that we are living in a world where we are being swept by the forces of what one might call monoculture. We're finding all over the world, even in areas where you had a richness of culture and tradition, being completely overwhelmed by monoculture. This morning at TERI, we had an event on sustainable consumption and production. And this is something that we have to emphasize because we have been overtaken to a large extent by a desire to produce and consume more and more, which is really one of the aspects of the monoculture that I'm referring to. Life is much more than consuming more, producing more. Life consists of a richness of other kinds that I think we have to keep at the core of our efforts. So I am only conveying these thoughts to those who are passing out of the portals of this institution. And remember that wherever you are, whatever you do, you're a part of TERI University. Please stay in touch. Please be part of this family because you will never be seen as anything distinct from membership of this family. Thank you very much.